Hi and welcome everyone. I am Friar Tuck. This is my epoch. Okay, so I'm in one of those soundproof booths again, and here, let me show you real quick what they look like. As you can see, there's there's the orange one and the yellow one, and they have little rubber seals in them so that I can sit in here. These are the booths where I do my Saturday live streams for both channels that I have going. But today I want to kind of talk about, I guess the easiest way to put it is I want to talk about what the last couple of videos that I have put out, because I've gotten such an amazing response from you guys. This is probably some of the best and most engagement that I've gotten from any of the content that I put out there. And it's teaching me a lot about the type of content that I do put out there for you guys. Okay. And so what I want to do today is I kind of want to draw a contrast, because what I experience, it happens regularly, but it's not an everyday occurrence. One. Two, even though some places you go are like what I dealt with at the Northern Kentucky Emergency Shelter, they just happen that way. There are places that are bad, and usually places like that tend to go away after time because of poor management, and the homeless just stop going there because they're like, no, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. And a lot of people already avoid the Northern Kentucky shelter. They would rather sleep outside or go to Fairhaven or somewhere else than to go to the Northern Kentucky shelter because of what I have experienced. And a lot of it's Jekyll and Hyde. These ladies had always been cordial. The guy is always, he's been helpful and stuff like that. But when you're working with the homeless, you can't bring your personal issues there. When you have a bad interaction with one homeless person, you got to treat it as a per instance. Just because that guy was a jerk and got under your skin, it doesn't mean that you carry it along with you. Now, I think that within these shelters that they should really, the staffing should definitely change, because one of the big problems there at this shelter is that their staff is not properly trained to de-escalate. They're taking anything that goes on and they're allowing themselves to take it personal if they're having a bad day, and then they want to take it out on us, and then we have no right of recourse because they call the police and tell us to leave, because they get to use their power as a way to attack us in some form or fashion. And this isn't just this shelter. This happens all across America to a lot of homeless. And this is a lot of the reason why most of your homeless don't even really want to go to shelters, why we're not shelter dwellers. It's usually your new homeless, or your soft homeless, or your elderly, and your women, of course, women and children, that generally go into the shelter. The average person that's out here does not necessarily go into the shelter. At least that's the way it used to be. But we've got such an influx of new homeless out here that the shelters are now getting overcrowded, and then the staff themselves are also getting overwhelmed. But getting back to my main point is that these guys were not able to de-escalate the situation because they're not properly trained, because their management does not train them to de-escalate the situation, because you got to realize that a majority of these people, and this is just who they're attracting, even me myself, I wanted to go work for a shelter, but I've been told, oh well, you've received services here, you can't come work for us. And each shelter has its own prerequisites. Some of it's handed down by the state, just because they want to cut back on corruption and other things, because they think that you're going to use your position now that you're finally off the streets, or use that position to enrich yourself. Well, the thing is this happens in a different way, but most of these people that are serving the homeless are dealing with drug addictions themselves. They are recovering addicts. And it didn't used to be that way. It used to be social service workers, at least wherever I went, was people that went and became social service workers, went and got their degree. Some of them were unpaid interns, and some of them were volunteers, and some of them were paid staff. Okay, that's just what I've been used to. But this shelter here is hiring people that are recovering addicts. Probably one, for the tax benefits, and also that they can say, like, look what we're doing to the community. We're hiring the recovering addicts. But you got to realize, just like, I'm a chocoholic. You put chocolate in front of me, even if I've walked away from chocolate, you put chocolate in front of me, it's going to be hard for me to not want that chocolate, not to want to interact with it. And then that's going to have its own, it's going to take its own emotional toll. As much as and good natured as I think that these people want to be, intend to be, would like to view themselves or as, I think that these are the wrong types of people that you should be putting in there, because not only that, when you're dealing with some sort of drug addiction, there is underlying mental health concerns, which means stability. It could be anything from bipolar, schizophrenia. It could be just erratic emotions, borderline personality disorder. It could be depression. It could be all kinds of different things, and those things are what leads you there. Well, then now you get to go deal with the very people that you spent a lot of time trying to get away from, and get your life straight. And now you just jumping right back in the middle of it, even if you've got 10 years sober. I've met plenty of people 20 years down the road, they've relapsed. I mean, it's easier for them to get back on the feet because they remember what it was like and they want to go back to that. But they relapse just because, things go. All right. So, when it comes to the real problem there is that the staff is not properly trained. The staff is not properly trained to de-escalate the issues. The staff is not in the right place to be able to assist. I mean, you can be nice all you want. Okay, great. You get me some food. But are you actually helping me, or are you just there as a babysitter collecting a check? And if you're really going to fix the homeless issue, it starts at every aspect along the way, from getting into the shelter. That's why I usually go and frequent the places that have multiple services, especially case management and caseworkers, because, they're there to actually help. But over there in the northern Kentucky side, they don't really have that, and it's very limited. Partially because it's the mentality of the South, and Kentucky is the end of the South, and part of it is just the way that the governments are ran. Okay, so now that I've kind of shown you guys in the one side of like what it's like not to be in a shelter where it's poorly managed and bad staffing. Now, here's the reason. I go over to the shelter called Fairhaven, okay? And, if you want to give somebody some kudos, these guys, they deserve the kudos. Now, I disagree with the fact that they make you go to chapel, but you know what? So what? Compared to everything else that they do, there is one of the main guys that you go in, they only have like 15 beds. You're allowed to stay 14 days, and then you got to spend 30 days out, and then you can come back for another 14 days. You get to leave your bag there. They have a work program. They have a drug rehab program. They have an outreach program where they help with like clothing and other needs and stuff like that. This is a fully functioning church with fully functioning benefits and services. And Brian, on one hand, I mean, so I'm in a foul mood to begin with, and I go to Fairhaven, and one of the guys, he's coughing nonstop for like an hour straight. It's like he's got the crud. I'm thinking, oh man, I don't want the crud again. I don't want this. I'm like, but I got to get a good night's sleep because I need some peace, because there is a sense of strictness and zero tolerance and expectation, but they're reasonable expectations. They're not unrealistic. I have no problem following the rule. I enjoy their rules, quite frankly. Quite frankly. But with that being said, they have a zero tolerance rule, and when it comes to the way that they treat people fine. Okay. And like, just to kind of tell you like what type of place this is. So there's a kid, he's probably the lippiest kid out there. And, he's especially when he gets drunk, man, he just runs off, and he thinks he's like the Incredible Hulk or something. And you got to take a breathalyzer before you go in to eat. And so he tests positive on it, says, well, I'm sorry, you can't. And it's like, man, I respect you. You've always bent over backwards to help me when I need help. And these guys, they offer the help that they offer as much help as they can possibly do with their expertise, knowledge, and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it has to do with Brian there, because I think that he is what makes that place, him. And then the weekend guy is just, he's absolutely amazing too. I don't know his name, but when I first met him, and they're nice, they're polite, they understand that you're homeless and that sometimes stuff happens. And so I'm down in the kitchen dealing with this guy that is coughing, right? And, I'm like, do you got earplugs? He's like, no. He's like, here, but you could give this guy some water, and, you can be polite about it, or you can be, a jerk about it. But, you're a grown man, you know what to do. And I popped off and I said, based upon what's happened over the last few days, my ability to remain a passive person no longer exists. And he's like, well, just understand this. If you fight, I'm going to call every shelter within 50 miles and tell them. Now, that was, in one way, it was wrong, but it was right. Okay. It was, I needed to be met with force. He was able to read the situation and kind of meet me, because I'm kind of still in a foul mood, and I'm being a little cantankerous, and he was able to stop me and then give me something to think about. Now, if he did something like that, I would have so much legal recourse that he would lose as much as I could possibly take from him. But I don't really think that it was that he meant it. What he was trying to do is to kind of, give me that jolt back into reality in such a way to where it made me think. And it was proper. And he has done, I've watched him de-escalate situation after situation. And he keeps order because people respect him for various reasons. Mostly because, he's going to do whatever he can to help you. He's reasonable. He thinks himself through the situation. He understands the uniqueness of each situation. I might need a shower, but this other guy, he ain't had a shower in 2 weeks. He needs a shower. He'll get a shower before I get a shower because his needs are greater than mine, and he's able to do stuff like that. And the staff there at Fairhaven are like that. They feed very well. They give you a shower, even though the showers are mandatory. They give you PJs, which is nice, and then they'll wash your clothes overnight, and within about 2 hours they're washed, dried, and folded. It's amazing. And so you can go in there for a short period of time, just get a reset, and then go back out into the world. And this is one of those few places where I talk about peace. And it's very peaceful for me. Now, I was only there for one night, so I got to wait till the first of next month to go back. But if I want to, I can go stay for 14 days at a time. So I want to kind of give you a contrast of what a proper shelter being ran is like and what an improper shelter being ran is like. And so I want to give you that compare and contrast so that you as individuals can understand what's really going on, because we as homeless, we have our bad days too. Okay. And we're gonna run off, and we may say some things, but at the end of the day, we're all human and we all feel. Okay. But it's not about feelings. Anyways, thank you for watching. You know how to help the channel. Become a subscriber. Come on over to Patreon. Get my hobo tutorials. Do some. There's a lot of other ways that you can help the channel. But keep watching the videos. Keep hitting that subscribe button, that like button. I want to hear your comments. What do you think? Do you think that I got it right? Do you think I missed some stuff? Okay. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.